Pistols are a weapon type in Outward that quite literally blow away the competition. They have extremely far range with the power to two-shot, possibly even one-shot a lot of enemies, but that comes with the downside of a 4 or 5 second long reload time. This means you need to go into combat, get the kill, and leave. Any complications are very difficult to overcome. Without the ability to block or attack with melee options, we are a sitting duck over half the game. Can it really be done? Are pistols really as strong as people think they are? Well, it's about time we find out. This is the hardcore pistol only run in Outward. Well folks, the unspeakable happened. I did in fact have my character deleted during this run. As many of you know, hardcore adds a 20% chance for character deletion when you are defeated. Doesn't sound so bad, but trust me, it's more like 100% from my experience. I was able to collect a variety of pistols, including the best one in the game, Caldera Pistol, inflicting elemental vulnerability so enemies take 25% more elemental damage. This requires completing the Blood Under the Sun side quest, important for later on in this video. I also completed the entire Heroic Kingdom faction quest, gaining a 15% increased damage passive. Great start so far, so I figured let's take down a few mini-bosses, which is where things completely derailed. You may have heard about a dungeon in the swamp called the Jade Quarry. It's a place you tend to avoid because it's been flooded with poisonous water you're forced to walk through. In my confidence, I ran in guns blazing, pun intended, trying to shoot down the annoying troglodyte, when something very unexpected happened. I have never seen this before, but for whatever reason, the annoying Trog was trying to stand directly next to me. He's supposed to run away and force you to chase him. Not today, it seems, which made lock-on a complete nightmare. Eventually, I did manage to take him out, leaving only one Trog left, which is when Blood Bullet decided to not grant me health back, as it sometimes likes to do. Poisoned, and with no other options, I fell dead at the hands of a Trog. And that was it, 20% chance of deletion with me dead in a single death. Some sorry luck if I ever saw it. But with that second attempt now over, we can begin the real adventure. Ace 2.0 can begin his journey with a legacy chest filled with 2 obsidian pistols and 2 militia pistols, just in case we need them. The most obvious problem you run into at the start is there are no pistols. In fact, you start with the reload and fire skill, but can't get a pistol for some hours later. So let's try and solve that problem. Loot some fancy blue clothes from Risa's personal stash. Get your water, bonus health skill from Ito, and Nomad backpack for 50 carry space. Buy an iron mace so that when we speak with Burak, he grants us mace infusion. Oh yeah, an important note is that we can equip a main hand weapon for the stats, but I also unbound the attack and block, meaning it has no function in combat whatsoever. An easy decision is to heal a guy on the beach for 1 tribal favor. Hand it over to Risa to get our house back. Speak to all 3 NPCs so we can later on select a faction quest and hightail it over to Blue Chamber Conflux Path. Avoid all the trogs while traversing the maze-like halls leading to a ley line. We deposit 1 point of our stats, giving up 5 health and stamina for 20 mana. We are now able to purchase the cool boon from a wise wizard down below. Stopping by to see our favorite Immaculate, we ask for power and are granted possessed. On our way over to Berg, we see the traveling caravaner who just so happens to be selling 1 obsidian shard for 80 silver. This is a stroke of luck I could not possibly have prepared for. Stop in town to trade out for a prospector backpack, which has 75 capacity instead of our current 50. Then we're gonna go into Caldera, of all things? Yes, because we are again going to find the Immaculate in his secret hideout. Ask for storage to be granted the Brigand's backpack. 70 capacity, which is lower, does not impede your dodge roll, and has a nice 15% extra physical damage bonus. But now let's get the heck out of this region before we run into trouble. The friendly Immaculate can be spoken to a 3rd time in Enmerker Forest. Ask for equipment to receive Master Trader Garb. Makes us faster and have much better stamina. Time for horror weapon farming. For those unfamiliar, you enter the Cabal Wind Temple and then proceed to defeat high-level enemies without a weapon. Lure anything you can into the middle, run back up to a lever where it explodes the bottom floor, auto-winning the entire dungeon for you. End up with a dead mini-boss and several other bodies piled up for you to loot. Snatch up what's in the chest as well as the glowing weapon beside it. Oh, no way. The Caravaner is now selling me a flintlock pistol. They are really on my side today for some reason. Sell what you can in town, though be sure to save any horror weapons to craft with chitin and predator bones we just collected. Purchase blue and green runes from the Rune Sage trainer, which will let us activate a magical light source. Brigand backpack cannot hold a lantern, so you kinda need something like this. Buy the Mist boon in the Chamber Hall for 50 silver. Finally, we can combine the flintlock pistol with an obsidian shard, crystal powder, and palladium scrap, creating an obsidian pistol. This type of weapon can only be fired using the fire/reload skill. Once pressed, you enter a 3-second animation or so of loading one single bullet. After standing back up, you press the skill again to fire one time. And that's how pistols work. Once fired, you now cannot use it in combat again because the enemy will annihilate you as you reload. Except we have an obsidian pistol, a super strong option that has 100% burn buildup. Anything I shoot instantly gets set on fire. Some would say this is the coward's way to play. I say it's my only option at the current time. Reload the thing after every encounter and we can officially play the game with pistol only. I'm sure this won't be difficult or anything. As we make our way into the desert, I did neglect to mention that we had enough money to purchase a luxury tent. -20 stamina cost will be everything, since all we can do to avoid damage is run and dodge. Bullets can be somewhat hard to come by. Combine iron scrap and a thick oil together for 3 bullets. You can also purchase them from blacksmiths, though it gets pricey. As you can imagine, I'm cutting several hours of me mining iron nodes and scooping up thick oil for that purpose. Selling our horror weapons in Levant's higher market grants extra silver in our pockets. I headed straight to the mercenary trainer for Shatter Bullet, Frost Bullet, faster maintenance for repairing, and armor training to help with negative armor stats. The breakthrough grants us 10% increased movement speed, with the passive above granting -40% stamina cost when running. Finally, we make a choice of Blood Bullet at the top for 3 total skills that can also be used on pistols. Smooth the Tailor teaches us Warm for our fire boon. In the slums, we speak with Pigeon Eye, offering him silver until he's satisfied. He then unlocks a secret stash for us, which just so happens to contain a cannon pistol. One of the best pistols, having really high impact and inflicting confusion in a single bullet. Paying the blacksmith some silver into Hackmanite, he will craft us a pair of Tenebrous boots. These have -10 mana cost and okay elemental defenses. The electric lab was my next stop, as it can get us more silver I desperately need. By now, I had gained an extra fire pistol, full master trader gear from the Caravanners, and numerous ways to use my pistols. Cold Shot requires the cool boon to then turn a little bit of mana into pure ice shards. This has large spread to hit several targets at once, and is easily our best damage source. The problem is cool boon has a higher cooldown, and cool pots are in scarce quantity at this time. That is where Iron Shot comes in. Instead of loading up a bullet, you can just push iron shards into your gun. These inflict pain for extra physical damage, are reloaded faster, and deal absurd levels of impact. If we use this on the cannon pistol specifically, everything in the game gets staggered basically in one shot. Jumping off the elevator, we can face down the electric forge golem. The most optimal strategy for a pure pistol build is to load several guns out of combat, then swap between them until each is used. Often you deal enough damage to win, but without enough guns, we may need to use our immense speed to back out, reload, and engage again. Surprisingly, this is a highly effective way to take down enemies. Golems are tricky since they can't be burned, but anything else that can, we use fire to wait out opponents. With several power coils in my pocket, we collect a coil lantern for superb lighting. Then it's on up to fight the 3 powered golems. 3 ice shots is enough to clear one down to almost no HP. Like he maybe has 1 or 2 total health right now. A quick iron shot cleans him up for us. Now, running around really fast is not my actual plan for this run. We will be taking a slightly different route. However, you can clearly see how strong just pure speed is. If the enemy can't catch you, they can't defeat you. With all 3 golems down, we can restart the ancient storage system, revealing several ornate chests around the desert. Looting them, crafting golem swords with the drops, and finding a nice whirlig spear stuck in its spot here, we sell loads of valuables in town for over 30 some gold bars. We can use that money to travel into Harmattan. The merchant sells a wolf pistol, high physical damage and inflicts cripple. This decreases enemy movement by 50%, though it only lasts 10 seconds and has a buildup of 60%, requiring at least 2 shots to proc. Kinda useless outside of having another thing to load up before battle. An extra 25 stamina from Speedster plus a bit of corruption resistance, and that's all I need here. So we instead head over into the marsh. From this side, we'll need to unlock a gate, preventing our entrance into the majority of this region. A skeleton takes more shots than I expected, as normal bullets are not as great as ice shot. Unfortunately, we have to deal with this blade dancer. Then again, maybe I was overestimating how difficult a challenge he would actually be. With a little parkour handled by a true professional, we move the Jade Idol onto its correct pedestal, opening up our way forward. Try and ignore the gargoyle and Taunosaur fighting there. They'll be dealt with later. There is much to avoid on our way through the vines and poison water that is Hallowed Marsh. Giants are always fun to take on, but of all times to engage him, this was not it. We need more firepower, to say the least. With our immense wealth, we purchase Leyline Connection from the Philosopher Teacher, our second breakthrough that grants mana regen. We also grab Fire Affinity for 20 fire defense and 15% more fire damage. Obviously great for the Obsidian Pistol. With slow metabolism and focus, we are sure to buy Blessed from Mofat before heading back to Chersonese. Bandits and hyenas rush me around every corner, but I'm only concerned with getting into Ghost Pass. Here, we don a Scholar Circlet I had bought from an alchemist. This helmet has negative 10 mana cost and negative 10% cooldown, which will let us use our skills slightly more often for better use of Ice Shot. Ghosts are typically an issue as they run rampant in these halls and take little to no physical damage. My Ice Shot works wonders, but I'm out of that mostly. Fire was my choice instead, as it may be boring, but you can't deny its effectiveness. But now is a good time to go over my third pistol skill called Blood Bullet, the most annoying and inconsistent ability in my toolkit, but also the most useful and overpowered for pure gunplay. This requires the Possessed boon to be active for it to work at all. It isn't consumed, thank goodness, giving us a way to make bullets with the enemy's blood during combat. Press the ability to pull blood out of the enemy. Press it again to fire a decay shot of nuclear proportion. In this way, we can manage to win fights if we run out of bullets. And since Blood Bullet technically hits twice during this, you can apply statuses that don't have 100% buildup. So why would I just not spam this over anything else? Well, my first death was actually caused by Blood Bullet, and it got me into bad situations many times over after that. It works perfectly 9 times out of 10, but out of nowhere, it often decides to not absorb a bullet for seemingly no reason, losing you not 1, but 2 hits of damage to defeat your enemy. Usually, this is due to wonky terrain where you're below the enemy, or maybe it's on a ramp or something. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Blood Bullets, when used to absorb a bullet, heals you. So regardless of how annoying it can be at times, you have to use it. Free bullets, free healing, and crazy damage makes it crazy useful. With the Rusted Enforcer down, we move on into the corrupted battlefield to find a Shell Horror. Yes, this one I actually have to fight. Having many pistols is the right idea, but also using the pistols in a correct order is essential. Really, you want Cannon Pistol first, so that enemies get staggered more by the Confusion debuff. Then you want the Obsidian, so Burn can work its magic sooner rather than later. My problem is, I often forgot which pistol was equipped and simply fired at random. Throughout this playthrough I got better and better, but the fumbling of pistols is a common problem I noticed. At the Cabal Wind Teacher, we purchase everything he has. The final breakthrough of our build grants more elemental damage, physical damage, and impact when we have our boons active. It's really strong. Then we need Wind Sigil. This requires pylons around the regions to be active, but it also has a really cool interaction with guns. In the cellar, we look for Gabbary Wine to use, but check this out. Any regular bullet loaded into your pistols will turn into pure lightning shot if you stand inside an active wind sigil. Not only that, but the lightning shot gains 1.6 times the damage and impact your pistol stats have. To be fair, this is tricky to use, as it requires setting up bullets, setting up a sigil, and then bringing the enemy back over to the sigil. But the damage is unbelievable. Anything you shoot will be dead within seconds. And it finally gives us a good reason to use normal bullets again. Additionally, this costs no mana to use. Casting the sigil does, yes, but the lightning bullets themselves are converted free of charge. Makes short work of strong monsters, let me tell ya. I decided to crush Myrid's skull, opening the mana gate and saving me a few corruption levels. Outside, we happened to lead directly into the Montcalm bandit camp. Blood Bullet is really strong against humans, is all I'm gonna say. However, I found myself in a bit of trouble when the captain lunged off a 2-story building to take me on. Unprepared and in grave danger, I'm probably exaggerating. I was never in any danger from him. Inserting 2 power coils in an old shed grants us the Mafino's trading backpack. I try to use different backpacks for these runs, but when you need multiple pistols, tons of bullets, infinite iron, ice pots, and thick oil, 110 carry space just takes priority, I'm afraid. On my way over to Vendavel Fortress, the Black Pearlbird got shot down like the dog he is. Technically, I don't think he's a mini-boss, but I like to promote him to one, just because of the trauma he's caused me in the past. Getting Vendavel out of the way now will be important so they don't attack Sirocco while I'm away with my faction quest. Croc doesn't leave me with much room to move around, though his choice of weapons isn't exactly quick enough to catch me as I make a figure 8 around him. Both of his bodyguards don't last much longer. Balira. Now this old witch is tricky. The fence post behind me blurred my vision completely. Not to mention she loves to hide behind tables and other containers blocking my bullets. Nothing a single lightning bullet can't handle. Well, technically that ended with 3 bullets, but 1 each still counts in my book. Rospa is the most difficult, seeing as he has crazy strong armor and several Kazite warriors protecting him. An ice shot cleans up each archer individually, and I managed to perfectly order my pistols up to demolish the red leader. He's not invading anyone after that. Burak hands me a key to the city for my performance, which led to me unlocking a legacy chest hidden in Sirocco storage. 1 obsidian pistol passed down, transforming into a meteoric pistol. Way more fire damage per shot and can inflict holy blaze, though the enemy must first be burning and the status takes 2 shots. Very tricky to apply, but another strong option. For this second attempt, I decided to take the Soroborian faction quest. This rewards extra cooldown and pocket space that in theory is great for guns. With a house in town purchased, we set out to activate the Wind Altar for our sigil. In the process, I encountered one of the larger Scourge monsters, an enemy you should never fight early on as they pack a punch. Literally, and bolster higher HP than most others of their kind. Well, Lightning Bullet apparently doesn't care about that, because it demolished him in seconds. In the Clock Tower, we can explore through corruption to reach an ornate chest. Plenty of golem enemies block our way here, all of which went down reasonably well. The main reason to check this, however, is that this particular chest is guaranteed to drop at least 1 tourmaline, an important and rare item needed for enchanting. This is the easiest way to get such a resource until late game, and turns out there's a chance you can find 2 of them at a time, which was the luck of the draw I had. Victor promises to help us get into college if we assist Desi and his other intern. Well, turns out Desi was attacked by none other than the Butcher of Men, a legendary Immaculate who happens to be quite formidable, or at least that's what I've been told. With a full row of pistols now in my possession, we can handle him. I had bought a Kazite pistol, which decreases the damage enemies can deal with physical. It's alright for the time being, I guess. Artois had been captured by Kazites, and for some reason they thought they could take me. To be fair, I had that squiggly confusion showing, but Frostbullet does not play games. Since we have officially begun a faction, the Lich speaks up in town and threatens us. I'll deal with you later, buddy, don't you worry. In order to help improve Victor's golems who protect the city, we must go back to the desert. With Enrage now in my possession for higher impact, I decided to stop off at the Vigil Pylon. It is on our way after all, and nothing was putting up much of a fight at this point, so why not take the risk? Usually you might find 1 or maybe 2 dog golems prowling the area, but for some reason I found like 4 of them. Thankfully they make enough noise clanking around that I didn't get surprised out of nowhere. This dungeon is one large puzzle. We need plenty of ice shots to bring down troublesome enemies, but at the end we should get our second legacy chest. Blood Bullet's initial decay pull, or blood suck as I like to call it, goes through fences. Not sure if I should keep referring to it as that on YouTube, but it is what it is. The, let's say, absorb bullet ability, there you go, is on some extreme levels of cheese for 6 or 7 ghosts in here. This, in combination with the obsidian pistol, meant we had no obstacles obstacles whatsoever as we use the tombstones to teleport around. Finally, at the end, we prepare for a fire horse who has eliminated me many times in the past. It's the fireballs, man. Why do tracking fireballs give me so much trouble, even when I see them coming a mile away? Irrelevant in the end, I guess, since knowing what you're up against is half the battle. Ta-da! A militia pistol passed down into a vigilante pistol. This is extremely powerful as it offers some of the highest damage from pistols. With decay, ice, or lightning bullets, we get absurd elemental damage. A must-have option for sure. Well, we should get back to the quest at hand, as it's another journey across the desert we need to make. Engineer Orston needs several resources to complete our new golem project. Lucky for me, we already cleared the electric lab before and can do so again with ease. Several replacement valves, lightning grease, and corrupted mana later, we have what we need. Because we were able to successfully bolster the golem's power, Victor grants us a Wolf Medic chestplate. My option of choice for this run, though it's useless until we enchant it. Gregory asks for my help as he needs me to save a group of Immaculates from the Wolf Mercenaries. On my way to their cave, I stumbled across a light elemental. The start of an interesting quest that may or may not end with a really cool moment. I gotta keep you guys engaged for the watch time, so just indulge me if you will. Convincing the Immaculates to work with Turnbull for a cure was easy, but the mercs outside waiting for them need to dealt with. Because of how much pure elemental power these guys pack, I was a bit worried. Hiding behind a rock was my initial strategy until I found out they could nearly be one-shot. Gotta keep reminding myself that I'm far stronger than your average build. This of course means all the allied wolf warriors around the Antique Plateau are now my enemies. Not to worry, as they drop extremely useful potions. So this was a win-win situation for me. I hobbled around in deep corruption, fighting off blood mage after blood mage. Looking for the decay elemental is a nightmare as he spawns in a large area. There you are, hiding behind a large building I almost walked past. All these pistols and it takes nearly every bullet to bring him down. Basic bullets really are just that, pretty basic. To briefly explain what we're doing, this is called the Clock Tower Puzzle. In the center of the map, you can find a colored fire. Whatever color shows up corresponds to a different elemental. Only one is spawned in at a time, so with light and decay down, we head towards the mana lake to find purple. Each of these guys is guaranteed to drop at least 2 particles for enchanting, and there's a good chance to get quartz we need as well. Fire elemental tends to spawn near the Kazite bandit camp. It's important to not pull a bunch of them towards you as you fight the jelly fellow, or you're in trouble. Luckily, they can't do much with guns knocking them back over and over. The final elemental is an ice version. You need to take out all 5 elementals before the region resets, which is usually 7 days outside the area. No, this isn't required at all for anything, but enchanting early on is 10 times easier if this hidden quest is pulled off. Now that all the little dudes have been hunted down, we head towards an abandoned building in the upper left side of the map. One version of each elemental can be found here, all huddled together. Very tough to take on as they all deal high range damage and have tracking magic. I approached carefully, ready to make my move before they could. Somehow they stayed together long enough for me to get 4 of them down in under 3 seconds. Just instant shotgun blasts, deleting each before they could even blink. Then I dealt with the green one, and dang, I had no idea it could be that easy. Now we've got every enchanting item we could possibly hope for. At an alchemy kit, we can combine an ether particle with 2 dreamer's root for pale beauty incense. Tourmaline, pale beauty, quartz, and ether together create Sylphina incense. Set up our enchanting table facing north, place pillars east close, east far, and west close with incense in each. Then we can slot the Tenebrous boots to gain the speed and efficiency enchant, plus 7% movement speed and negative 5% cooldown. A small amount, but very helpful. Next we combine fire particles with our other materials to craft Apollo incense. This time the pillars get placed north close, east close, west close, and west far. Insert the incense and our wolf medic armor gets enchanted with adrenaline. Negative 10% cooldown, leaving us with negative 25% cooldown in total with our set, making Blood Bullet far more useful in combat. Also Also, the fashion is kinda epic, I did not expect that part. But for the last enchant, I needed extra purifying quartz, which is super rare more often than not. This led me into the destroyed test chambers where we can unlock more parts of the underground dungeon. There was another terrifying run-in with a red trog, because why not bring back those horrible memories of the first run? These halls are filled to the brim with elementals, golems, and trogs. There are 5 groups of at least 3 enemies at a time, which led to me relying on Ice Shot almost exclusively. The thing is, this is the only skill I have that can hit multiple targets. Spread out ice shards simply trashes anything you point your weapon at. Again, we need cold pots to use this so often. The recipe is water and 1 gravel beetle at an alchemy kit. Good news is, you get 3 potions per craft, and even though that same bug is used to make health potions, we don't need many of those because we can heal with Blood Bullet. So stock up on them each and every time we return to town, and yeah, the gun only idea gets far easier. Lightning Bullet is still best for Trog specifically, as it's their big weakness. Take enough of them out and we can snatch up Train Key A. Ride an elevator down to where some coolant seems to have leaked out, and we have a few golems to blast through. Iron Shot might not be the best for damage, but man is it fun to knock down enemies with it time and time again. The liquid-cooled golem proved to be my first problematic foe. Anything immune to statuses like fire are instantly tougher. He's also made out of cold, so I assumed ice wouldn't be that great. And once I ran out of bullets, there wasn't much I could do. This is why pocket space is so powerful. All my guns need to be in my pocket, so swapping can be done without the backpack on. I also need extra iron and extra bullets in the pocket just in case stuff like this happens. And therein lies the real problem. My hotbar. It is simply not big enough for 6 pistols, Blood Bullet, and Iron Shot. Curse the in-game balancing limitations. How dare you hinder my power? Again, my goal down here was to find purifying quartz, which often drops from a unique enemy we can fight in a separate dungeon. Well, my luck would turn up once again, as the ice elementals here had one waiting for me. Yes, I had to run circles around him until the fire won for me, but that saves us a lot of time at least. While we're here, let's open up access to the closed-off tunnels, before taking a ride over to the living quarters, a location crawling with trogs that are mostly harmless to me. I say that after the fiasco of dying to each of them, but this time each is hardly an issue at all. There are also several Kazites making their home at the front in a somewhat comfortable living area. A little inhumane to treat them in such a way, but I had to collect the Troglodyte cage key. Kazite Admiral and his cronies were looking forward to my demise, and to this day, they're still waiting. By the way, the Wolf Medic set has this little cloth piece in the back that I really do think looks great. Quite a fashionable piece of equipment now that I'm looking at it. In town, we can at last craft Luna incense with light particles, though one of the requirements for this enchant is that you need to be inside Conflux Mountain, which is all the way back in Chersonese. A long trip indeed, but one I really needed to make for my build. After marching through Enmerker and trampling across some bandits, we enter Blue Chamber's Conflux Path. Pillars East Close, South Close, and West Close, enchanting the Scholar Circlet with Arcane Unison. Negative 5% cooldown bonus and 0.1 mana regen. Yes, we now have even more mana regen for the build, with I think 30% cooldown in total. I mean, who doesn't love nearly infinite mana? That's an incredible way to play almost any game. Our current position is one of the most important for this run. We need to go sabotage several operations to stop a set of runes from being destroyed by Victor. You must do at least 3 of these actions to get your reward. So that's what I set out to do. Paying off Hugo, he promises to delay the rune wall's destruction. Behind town is a small storage area which leads to Old Harmattan. It has been shut down for years at this point, as the many dead inside rise up as ghosts to haunt the area. Nothing crazy. We simply need to put the dead back to rest as we deal with another jelly blob creature. Grab an old book sitting on the shelf that needs brought back to an NPC. Remember this for here in a bit. The next option for us is to re-enter the Mana Lake dungeon. If Trog Pesticide gets thrown into the well, then maybe town guards will be distracted dealing with the infestation. Everything goes off without a hitch, even though avoiding attacks in these tight corridors isn't always easy. Drop the stuff down the well and off we go. Okay, we only have to do 3 total sabotages to pass with a perfect success, so I go to Turnbull and tell him we're all finished up. Except he's not very happy with me at all. For some reason, they destroyed the rune wall anyway, and he acts as if I didn't do enough. I was baffled at this, because it's the only step you need to complete correctly to get your passive. Ends up, I collected the book, yes, but forgot to turn it back into the NPC who wanted it. So that's it. One little mistake, and now this faction quest doesn't provide me with a single reward. No extra cooldown, no extra movement speed, and no bonus pocket space. We are screwed. But at the same time, that's Outward for you. Mess up a quest and you have to live with the consequences. Even though we are so early on in the playthrough and could probably restart, I'm not going to. This is what Outward is all about, and the added challenge should hopefully make for an interesting video. So yeah, that really sucked. This is why I usually do all the options, just in case. Anyway, we now need to go win a debate, and to do so, we must win a few people onto our side. There's a small encampment of Kazite bandits who were doing work for someone in the city. They decided to sell the goods they were supposed to deliver instead of delivering them. The Four Wind gang needs to learn how proper business gets done, and after only a few seconds, I believe that lesson is driven home. Collect Erica's goods. That was easy enough. Next, we need to find 3 special filters that are locked away in the compromised mana transfer station. This is the location we opened up before. Runic Lantern would have come in handy as this area is weirdly very dark. All the light comes from mana tubes and old elevators. One filter sits in the back behind some prototype of the train system. Each is protected by a mana mantis, which are extremely weak to cold. Probably should have loaded a cold shot then, but that's one down. A second filter behind glowing containers is not so well protected, as I guess this mantis laid it down in the wrong location. I'm not really sure, honestly. I really can't believe how strong Lightning Bullet is. On the better pistols, it puts down high-level monsters in only 4 shots. Just a mere 4 shots, not to mention that was almost 3. But then I was lasered by this monstrosity. Ow, I have to say, for one of the only times I inflicted Holy Blaze, which seemed to destroy him rather quickly. This is basically burn over time, except with lightning instead of fire. It requires you to shoot the Obsidian Pistol, then shoot Meteoric, and then use Blood Bullet with the Meteoric again. Not a damage over time effect you see all that often, and for good reason. It's highly potent stuff. The unique blob creature followed soon after, as I really don't know what these things are. Pure elemental mana that sprung to life into a unique being? Only thing I can imagine to make sense of it. Annoyingly difficult to take out, although not very threatening since it's quite slow. Okay, that lets us unlock the elevator system and head up towards the final filter. Probably an okay idea to grab Gemstone Key B, as it's literally right in front of us. Something you're probably not gonna notice, as guns are obliterating anything in this game, but not having the ability to block is an interesting challenge. I love how blocking works in Outward and use it to my advantage as much as possible. Forcing me to play more backed away rather than in the monster's face is kind of a fun switch so far. Using the train, we travel over to Ancient Foundry. A lightning dancer awaits my arrival as we challenge his electric swords. Not nearly as weak to cold shots as anything else I've shot, though decay seems to make up for that fact as he crumbles to the floor. Most random robots and animals get cleaned up with little effort as I collect the warehouse key for a future boss fight. We were really full of items to sell on top of our pistols all being mostly broken, because yeah, that's the major weakness of pistols. Their durability is much lower than other weapon types. If you were to use only one pistol, that would break after only a few fights. Add on 5 more pistols and now you need to sleep way too many times for repairing. Paying blacksmiths 50 silver comes in handy for this, as every item is fixed back up instantly. The third item we need to collect is in a lost manufacturing facility. Well, it's not inside the facility exactly, but going here can lead you to it rather quickly. One large Greater Grotesque faces down the power of electricity. Electricity and gunpowder. The combination is exactly as deadly as it sounds. And that's about all we need to deal with in this area. There's a couple weaker versions of that long-armed creature. I wouldn't really concern yourself with them much. Gemstone Key C in our possession, we leave outside to find bandits roasting up old paintings. Act quick enough and we might be able to save one for an acquaintance. As you could probably imagine right now, I was in fact able to act quick enough. Snatch up that still intact painting and we bring all those items back to a few Djeinns who will now support us. Well, at least we still get 20 health, mana, and stamina from Peacemaker's Elixir. No Zara Stone since we screwed up big time, but I'll take it I guess. And so begins the final battle. A horde of Scourge have invaded the area. We either take them out now or they'll bring down the city. Clearly, we've made a cooldown-based build. Hermit is for the damage, Philosopher is for the mana and fire bonus, then Merc is for our blood bullet. We didn't take Speedster, which is the cooldown skill tree. This is because you require intense use of potions to keep that up, or possibly a melee weapon. Honestly, this setup feels perfectly fine. With our 10% increased cooldown from the faction we would have gotten, that would have been perfect to fire bullets here and there with blood bullet in between. Instead, we do have a few seconds of waiting when that is cooling down, but dodge enough and you hardly notice. Our main advantage is enemies drop so quickly we don't often need to worry about reloading mid-combat. Oh, and what's really cool is we can use Wind Sigil far more often as it's the only sigil based around cooldown. Much more handy than you might think, considering its crazy damage against Scourge. Unfortunately, this meant I waited around for the thing to have those cooler looking fights, leading to all of my allies dying in combat. My bad on that one. Also kinda hurt me big time since there was no one to help keep group encounters off my back. Probably the most difficult this end fight has ever been for me, but we did win in the end. There you go, the Soroborian faction quest completed for absolutely no reason at all. I got nothing out of that, and am super sad about it. Might as well let out my frustration on the swamp mini-bosses. Also, I do need some revenge for Ace 1.0, who died here some time ago. There really aren't a lot of mini-bosses in this region, since the two Liches take over most of the limelight. The red Stegosaur never plays nicely, as I keep trying to get clean shots of him dying. Instead, he burns to death inside a pool of water. Wouldn't recommend thinking about it too hard, guys. This fire's just special, I guess. Made use of Holy Blaze to take out an Alpha Taunosaur, who, by the way, are far less threatening when you don't have to get near them. Good old Lightmender sits in his tower awaiting my arrival. The minions went down easily as Blood Bullet has the perfect element to shotgun down each and every one. My plan was to open up this battle with pure ice shots, getting as much DPS rammed down the Lich's throat as possible so we wouldn't need to worry about surviving long. So that plan immediately failed as I missed not one but 3 ice blasts. Blood Bullet is optimal here, but it sure does take its time. Overall, our little Tuffle wasn't as cool as I'd hoped. He threw out a billion lightning orbs, I dodged all of them, and then used Blood Bullet in the Obsidian Pistol to burn him in the meantime. Getting close baits out melee, so we have plenty of time to use our skills. Not really excited for the Jade Lich after this, considering he's nearly immune to Blood Bullet entirely. Might need to come up with a new plan before we reach him. Gaining access to the legacy chest here, we can collect a second meteoric pistol. That I don't have room for. A corrupted green gargoyle awaits me in an abandoned ziggurat. Using a Taunosaur to my advantage for some assistance worked, not at all. Actually made everything go wrong immediately, but whoa, gargoyles don't seem like a major problem for us on this run. Wow, that's a really good sign for Caldera. Ah yes, the moment we've all been waiting for. Back to the Jade Quarry to settle an old score. With a helmet on for decay resistance, we should survive the poison water. Safe to say, I came to play this time. Dying to Trogs of all things was not really a reputation boost for me. So I need these fiends to pay dearly with their lives. Icy Shot being the king of this run, I can't imagine how many more times we're going to be using it. Safe to say a lot. With many a green dog shot down with lightning bullets, we make our way into the Dark Ziggurat and face the Jade Lich. This one is much more complex as we need to time everything perfectly for it to work. Placing down the Wind Sigil just as the last tentacle pops up gets it down safely. We have on the Brigand backpack so I can hold extra iron and guns just in case. Something I probably should have been doing the entire time, but I tend to get a tad lazy when it comes to that. As many lightning shots as we can get off are melting this guy's HP. Problem is, we run out of shots a little too fast, and when he dodges, that feels immensely frustrating. There was enough time for me to re-equip Blood Bullet using the auto walk feature for movement, and using that skill was a garbage plan as I previously stated. Nope, we're gonna have to again rely on the burn damage from really risky reloads. Then with a perfect Blood Bullet, the meteoric pistol gets Holy Blaze applied. Okay, nice. Probably should have done that at the start of this battle. Told you, it's really easy to mess up your gun order. Anyway, he's as good as defeated now. Still in the mood to take out major targets, I made my way into the desert and towards Stone Titan Caves. Get this little pipsqueak out of my way so we can get to the big dog. The last acolyte would already be dead, but I fumbled around and didn't have all my guns loaded. Man, trying to remember every step needed before each fight is honestly the entire challenge of this weapon type. The damage makes up for it for sure, but still messes with your head. The slide is another location where a legacy chest is hidden. There's a few baddies that guard my prize, although I'm not sure they're the most effective guards. At this point, Holy Blaze was really exciting me. Getting this applied to anything is an instant win. More like a win in 10 seconds, but the stuff is probably a little too strong outside DLC areas. Here's another Vigilante pistol, which again I don't really know if I need. Old Levant is a good place to have a really risky encounter. Luke the Pearlscent is a troublesome foe. Super easy in theory as a basic human, but his damage is through the roof, and he's able to dodge almost anything thrown at him. Not to mention his guards distract you long enough so he can sneak up when you're not ready. You might be seeing a new pistol down there on the right, which is more purple. That is the Horror Pistol, crafted from a Cannon Pistol and Horror Chitin. I only now equipped it as it applies extreme poison, but for some reason not in one shot. We're forced to use Blood Bullet so it can connect twice. I mean, the status is one of the best in the game, and very strong against humans. But now we need Blood Bullet for extreme poison and Holy Blaze. Possible to apply both, yes, but it takes significant time to do so. Ah, I almost forgot about the Elite Assassin Beetle. Did I forget to mention that most bugs are weak to cold? Because just in case I did, yeah, bugs are ridiculously trashed by Ice Shot. Jeez, dude, we're running through so-called tough enemies like they're nothing. Best challenge run I've ever done. Heck, this is feeling more like a can Outward survive me type of deal. About now is a good time for us to stop off at the Smuggler and buy the Chimera Pistol. One of the best pistols as it makes enemies weaker to all elemental damage by 25%. Yeah, as if we aren't strong enough. But for some reason, she wasn't selling it. That's kind of odd. Oh, come on, you've got to be kidding me. This item is impossible to get if you don't complete the Blood Under the Sun side quest. I thought I did that, but no, that was on the first run. Dang it, we have no faction bonus and no best pistol in the game. I am really not doing well this time around. Ugh. Guess we're trying to make this as difficult as possible for some reason. Yeah, I'll be honest, I have no clue what happened. My best guess is that the first character I attempted this on, everything went perfect. After I died, seemingly out of nowhere, the meticulous thought process went out my window. Hey, we get what we get. Just remember for the rest of the run, we could have had 25% extra damage. Kinda crazy to think about. Sandro's Horror took some setup to make work. When it eventually all went down though, it went down instantly. Nothing survives the almighty Wind Sigil. Seriously, one of my favorite forms of magic in this game. Everything this can do is to the max. How about something we can't immediately bring down? Compass Guardian, the strongest golem in the game. Our burn, poison, and holy blaze are useless here. Gotta rely on pure bullet power. Well, that, and a small amount of intellect. After all, this is an RPG. The weapons you use make a large difference, but also the terrain in which you choose to fight matters possibly even more. One round of ice went okay, I guess. Kinda weak if I'm being honest. Don't get me wrong, half health on this guy is a huge accomplishment, but all my guns and that's it? How about Lightning Shot? Maybe this one performs better. Kind of, at least the impact was crazy. Not quite enough still though. Ultimately, this came down to ring around the rosy. I load the Ice Shot, shoot him with Ice Shot, run away, and then repeat 4 or 5 times. It's not fancy living, but we earned a victory all the same. For our last desert opponent, we enter the hives to run around 1,000 bugs. There really are a ton of giant insects in here, all scrounging around for food. In the back, we find the virulent hive man, who's weak to poison and fire. Luckily for us, I have both of those at the ready. Horror Pistol and Obsidian Pistol alone would give you enough power to take on almost anything that isn't a robot. You know what, we should probably head back to Harmattan and stop the Rust Lich, since that whole thing already started quite a while ago. We took a detour because next up is a challenging dungeon, one large warehouse containing many immaculates in the MK Golem. Chimera Pistol was needed for this, except you already know how that whole plan went. Really seems like I didn't need it anyway, considering the Scourge are getting folded in half right now. How on earth did the Cabal Wind ever lose to the Scourge with this kind of power at hand? I'll never know. 2 Immaculates at once. This one is sure to be a disaster considering we can only hit one single target at a time. Unless you're able to free aim electric nukes into one of them before they get to make a move. Okay, real talk for a second. Are guns really this good? I mean, what's going on here? For an offhand weapon, they seem way overtuned. That's kind of just how Outward is though. You become really strong if you have the knowledge about how mechanics work. Don't know pistols combine with Wind Sigil? Now you lose your most powerful option. Don't know how to effectively apply statuses with pistols? Well, now you can't win fights unless the bullets finish things off. Learning is half the battle. No, that's stupid. Learning is the entire battle. Once you understand everything there is to know about a specific weapon type, they skyrocket in potential, and we've never seen it more than we're seeing it right now. Rusted Hive Impact Absorber, 10-ton hammer cause swords are scary, and corruption vents. The MK Golem is now ready for battle. This is the first encounter where you get to see how much prep work goes into real boss fights. In the open world you can run away and re-engage. Even against the Liches, they had plenty of room to move around. MK is an entirely different story. There is no space here whatsoever. What you bring in with you is all you have, and you'd better hope it's enough. The ice did its job well, but it wasn't getting us out of this on its own. Usually I would have used Iron Shot since the high impact can give you another chance to reload as the enemy gets up. Without confusion applied though, this didn't seem to be the case. We instead need to time out his attacks and reload when the metal monster is in a combo attack. Not really all that bad. I would have been in serious trouble without iron though, so let's be sure to keep plenty of that on us from now on. On our way to the next gemstone key, we need to tackle a large green beast, and this is where my story takes a dark turn. Out of my many hours in Outward, I have never seen anything like this happen. All of a sudden, my bullets were flying straight through the monster as if he wasn't even there. All of my loaded bullets go down the drain as his HP stands just as strong as it did before. What the heck is going on, and how on earth can I fix it? Even Blood Bullet is doing nothing to him. Seriously, is this how the run ends? Oh, and yeah, I got so cocky about Lightning Bullet that I didn't even throw on the Brigand backpack with extra iron and bullets. That decision really backfired. I'd love to tell you I know what happened here, but I just don't. Eventually, he simply started taking damage again and I could shoot him. My best guess is that since I snuck up on him, the fight didn't start correctly and needed time to readjust. Excited about Lightning decimating these two at first led to me spamming Blood Bullet with the Obsidian Pistol for fire to do all the work. After a couple slick moves, I was able to equip my backpack and iron from inside the bag. So eventually it turned into a real fight again. But yeah, this turned out to be super lame and honestly kinda scary, since if it hadn't fixed, there was nothing I could have done but die. Another key in our pocket, we can simply turn all 4 in as we collected the other 2 during our faction quest. On our way up to the Rust Lich, there are a bunch of encounters. From Scourge monsters to Golem robots, you shoot bullet after bullet. With enough ice potions to fill up my entire backpack, this was something I easily took care of. Almost 3-shotting an elite Sublime Shell was one really cool moment, as it's not every day those guys fall so quickly. Pistols be crazy, man, I don't know what to tell you. But of course, you can watch me trash mob enemies all day. What you're more likely interested in is the Rust Lich himself. How are we gonna get past waves of golems to deal chip damage when his shield goes down? It's quite simple actually. We equip our last few cool pots and cold shot skills so we can load that in combat. A well-placed shot kills all the golems at once, and with 1 round of damage, his health goes down to almost half. Okay, we might not be in this near as long as I thought. Find the right time to potion up, reload, which by the way, Ice Shot also reloads faster than basic bullets. This and Iron are far better during combat, although still both put you in place for a second or 2. Once all 3 guns are loaded back up, we take out the golems again in 1 shot. And darn, I kinda messed this one up. Got almost no damage in trying to use Blood Bullet. Same deal again, trying to be as safe as possible. With his shield down for a 3rd time, we pop off 2 ice shots and now you get the picture. This is an extremely slow way to play the fight. But since he's immune while the golems live, it's our only viable option. 5 rounds of bringing his shield down is not half bad at all. Considering we could one-shot like 5 golems at the same time, we were never really in that much danger. Just barely had enough ice spots though, that part was worrying me. With the Rust Lich defeated, that's 2 major quests down. About time we see how guns fare in Caldera. Somehow I had managed to forget about bloody Alexis down below Levant. Had to quickly dispatch him, or her, not really sure which. Though I think Alexis is more of a female name. Been wrong before though. And you know what? Caldera can wait a little while. There's plenty of other monsters for me to hunt down in the meantime. First Cannibal was much more of a problem than he should have been. The idea of this monster is that he's locked in the back of an icy cave. You can run towards him and use a few campfires to heat up before engaging. Except sometimes the big guy likes to wander, and should he happen to walk further down the hill, well, we're in for a jump scare. For us, this is even worse. Ice Shot is not ideal, and that's our best option. What I wanted was to place down Wind Sigil and just pop him before he even got close. No chance of getting that down now with this thing's crazy speed. Option 2 is for us to rely on status effects. Fire turns into Holy Blaze, but before I could use poison, he nearly put me down. Way too close for comfort, folks. Then again, Blood Bullet is almost half an entire HP bar of health back, so we should be okay. Unfortunate that Holy Blaze doesn't last very long. The damage over time it deals is highly beneficial against tough foes. When I can't fully prepare, fights take nearly 3 times as long, which is somewhat to be expected. The most dangerous beast of them all is of course the Royal Manticore. How the heck do we deal with her when she can easily keep up with my speed? The answer is quite easily. Most of what we need to deal with is thrown poison spikes from her tail. With staggers happening every so often, you don't need to avoid melee nearly at all. Status effects put in work as we try and find time to reload again. A handy tactic for pistols is to actually equip one that isn't in your hotbar. You obviously slot your 5 that you want to swap to, but then you load up a 6th one which you have equipped. Just fire it off and work with the ones you can keep switching back to. An entire extra gun's worth of damage changes every single fight. With burn and extreme poison applied, we keep our distance until the job is done. Tyrant of the Hive is another monster I worried about. Harder enemies boast more HP, higher damage, and much larger stability bars. This allows us to affect them only half as much, leading to less chances to change tactics. Lightning Shot didn't actually look all that good this time, but a small sneak peek at how we're going to deal with arena bosses can be seen here. Did you catch it? Did you see the thing I did so we can infinitely reload bullets in combat? Let me know what it is down below, as it'll be far more apparent later on. Barrier Man had help from an Ice Witch. The duo was making my life miserable. While not all that common, sometimes humans can dodge bullets if the timing works out badly for you. Really, I had not expected some random guy in good armor to put up such a fight. A lot of times it looks as if I'm way over preparing for fights, but this is exactly what happens when you don't. Anybody can take you out if you're not careful. For the Undead Warrior, I was able to one-tap his 3 minions with a single trigger pull, after of which we had to run around a few times to keep good spacing as he topples over dead. Charsones, I've come back to take on the best of the best. Though really, these are the worst of the best, as it's more of a starter-friendly region. Confusion, boys. Confusion is always the answer. It always surprises me how one small debuff can cause you to go from a weak nobody to a monster-slaying adventurer. If the enemy can't stand up, they can't attack you. And if the enemy can't attack you, they pretty much lose right then and there. I have to imagine this challenge is much more difficult on controller. Swapping pistols is relatively painless on keyboard as you have one button to press at a time. Console players don't have that luxury and have to juggle between buttons. A good day to be one of them PC players, I guess. Deep within the confines of Conflux Mountain, we can 3-tap a Glacial Taunosaur. This is for all those young adventurers who thought they were strong enough to take on the Toothy Dino. Only thing cooler than that would be 2-tapping a different mini-boss. Oh yeah, Trogs are very weak to lightning. Sure does suck to be one of those, am I right? Please nobody bring up the Trog hardcore run. You can't make me do it! Always a really enjoyable clash of titans is us against the Tsar Knight. His sword slashing heavily against the air as I juke him back and forth between bullets. All the armor in the world, and he still can't deal with elemental damage. Such a shame. Okay, now I feel a tad more prepared for Caldera. Let's speak with the courier in Berg about the task to come and get this show on the road. The only thing I was forced to do beforehand was craft about 60-some cold pots. There aren't many ways to get new items until we build the town, so having backups in our chest is essential. Once in Old Sirocco, we meet with the 3 rebellious leaders and begin the Build New Sirocco process. 3 houses go down for people to live in. All 3 workshops go up so our town can support itself, at least somewhat. Then we're sent to collect fertilizer for the Ambrain farm. Stopping off at the old ritualist hut lets us purchase miasmic tolerance, mainly to stave off off Plague and Petrification. Nearby, we can activate the Wind Pylon before entering the Mimitor Hive. We can take these fearsome beasts down, but it takes every shot to do so. Now would be a really nice time to have the Chimera Pistol, but no, that's far too convenient for us. On the other hand, this might be easier than I thought. Several enemies here are deadly afraid of decay damage, and Blood Bullet is in fact decay damage. What we really need to take care of is the Mother Mimitor. She guards her eggs closely and is not so easily defeated. And of course, she's the one Mimitor who could care less about decay magic. Figures as much. There is a small glimmer of hope for us yet, as we could possibly get a knockoff Chimera Pistol. Something filling the same role is what I mean. Then again, even that small venture takes its own dark turn later on down the road. Best to enjoy the victory and not think about any future endeavors. With one egg plucked from the nest, we now head towards Steam Bath Tunnels. Oh, no way. The Ark is correctly docked for the first time ever. Can't miss this opportunity to hop in and pull levers, opening up the second and third floors. Medivh are the problem children of this dungeon, as they don't often play nicely. Coincidentally, Wind Sigil can trash one of them in only 3 or 4 shots. Usually, you would never place Wind Sigil down more than twice because of its long cooldown. Then again, we made a cooldown-centered build. This powerful tool is ready by the time we reload all our pistols. Same goes for boons and buffs, like in Rage and Discipline. Super handy. To be honest, the first run failing was probably a good thing. I'm not sure that first version would have had near enough ease of use to constantly be prepared for combat. 3 nobles block our path. Not people I want to mess around with. Loads of ice blasts, and that guarantees we don't miss shots. And this method proved slightly more effective than originally planned. Nobleman total score, 0. Sheen, 3. Better luck next time, boys. Fertilizing the egg in blue sulfur, we leave the dungeon and instantly re-enter. This will cause the missing mini-boss to spawn in, as she won't be present during quest events. Grandmother Medivh is not an easy one to face. You have to deal with several large jellyfish creatures at the same time. AoEs explode all around you, and most quickly get overwhelmed. With the path clear behind us, that leaves us just 3 opponents in total. 2 now that we sniped down a blue with Wind Sigil having been active. On occasion, you can manage to lure out 1 enemy at a time if they wander enough. Not common per se, but it does happen. Well, she's just leaving into the poison, and to be honest, I'm not all that keen to join her. Hope Holy Blaze does his job well, and no, it's already gone. I gotta look this up really quick. Hold on a second. Let's see, burning lasts 40 seconds, dealing 3 damage per second. Okay. Holy Blaze lasts 30 seconds, dealing 6 damage per second. Really? Only a difference of 10? Seems like a lot less, but maybe I'm simply wishing for it to do more than it should. Improved farming gets a new Sirocco available for advanced buildings. We place down a food store for extra crops and delicious buffs. Samples are a rare thing, as they always are. On my search, we headed into Old Sirocco again to take on a Scarlet Emissary. I'm not totally sure how it happened, but the tor crab down here got stuck on some stair railings and became my friend. Poor thing never moved again, and I felt as if shooting him when he was down would be too cruel. Oh, yeah, I kind of forgot. About this time, I was terrified to fight the emissaries. That was not even remotely necessary, as you'll come to see soon. Instead, let's enter the volcano itself. Gastrocines are an enemy I don't often want to encounter. Super high HP, crazy defenses, and troublesome attacks. They would take far too long to deal with when holding only pistols, also wasting lots of my resources. One unique lava version lives within this sweltering heat. You probably could have guessed, Cold Shot was as destructive as ever against him. Of course, he can heal himself when I go to reload, not my favorite idea in the world, as it leaves me standing there dumbfounded. A good placed iron shot with confusion knocks him over good, and I've got more than enough of those to go around. What about the gargoyles, you're probably asking? Are they something we need to avoid with pistols? Not in the slightest. Ice and decay melt them down fast. You will need to be sure to stay in closer so they can't heal while deleting any statuses you have built up. But yeah, they might be tanks against physical, small and harmless plushie toys against elemental. Town Hall gets constructed in the city, leaving us with the furnace problem. Gotta get some better heat source or we won't be building much of anything else. Take a large cold hunk of rock all the way down into the eldest brother where we just were. Enemies will have shown back up by now, but we have enough speed to run past. Kinda have to, since we don't have anything in our backpack that goes into a pistol. At the bottom, I employ my usual tactic of causing outward AI to fight outward AI. The plan? did not work. I've never seen this before, but the Gastrocene lost without doing hardly any damage. 2 horses and a ghost left standing against me. Thankfully, frost is a thing of beauty, and every type of monster in Caldera hates this stuff. Charge up a cold rock in the volcanic furnace, producing a new heat source for our workers. Easy enough so far, although technically we have only just got started. With some more sample farming upon us, the cold elemental horse was my next target. Consider this one of those unique outward moments, where I truly became a magic sniper, defeating my enemy before he even got a second to think about the situation. Not really sure we're ready for this, but no time like the present. In a dark and mysterious cave, we release the ancient dwellers from their slumber. Expecting the absolute worst, we were pleasantly surprised. I don't think we can take these monstrosities without lightning bolt, but with it, they're mostly a joke. They pose much less of a threat when you don't need to get in close anyway, so it makes sense. Expecting Caldera to be extremely difficult was not actually the correct mindset to be in. Yes, the enemies here have huge HP pools, but they also have a major weakness to make up for that. Guns perfectly exploit each weakness with cold, decay, or lightning. Looks like we won't have any issues at all, really. She Who Speaks was looking great at the start. Soon, however, it devolved into another game of running away until Blood Bullet is available. Some enemies like this one are simply too fast for anything else to work. Not a very brave way to play on our part, but you do what you gotta do. Steam Bath Tunnels houses some of the best loot in all of Outward. It also contains the dastardly duo of Cali Grey leaders. 2v1 sounds like more of an issue than it actually is. All we need to do is apply some statuses and survive while they eat away at our enemy. This is likely why they made so many arena bosses immune to statuses. They somewhat play the game for you, especially if you're using all of them at the same time. The food store upgrade is a must-have, so we get free foods each week with insane buffs for us. An enchanting guild will be important because all pistol enchants must be done from the advanced guild. Add on the expanded library upgrade since that's needed as well. Many Cali Greys stand guard as we walk all over them through the arc. Inside is an old Sirocco noble who's been caged by the ape/lion species. The amulet around his neck is what we need, but his master doesn't enjoy us snooping around. She turns him into a red and fiery demon. As previously stated, I was terrified of these things. They do not go down without spirit varnishes, and that's something we simply do not have access to. In fact, pistols are noticeably absent of ethereal damage. You can craft a bone pistol for some, but it's extremely early game and does not have good damage. Well, as it turns out, we actually had nothing to be afraid of this entire time. Cold shots and a sprinkle of holy blaze provide just enough to put them down in a timely fashion. Still not keen to go hunting for more of the creatures, but I do like our odds against them a lot more. With that amulet, we can keep the Djinn from fleeing while we ask him to help out our town. He's not a fan, as usual. So back to fighting we must go. You may have heard from other sources before that guns are blatantly overpowered in Outward. Here's a really good example to prove that theory. No complaints from me, let's get that straight. I much prefer this over the struggles of those poor melee fellows. He gets mad, grows several feet, and challenges us to a round 2. It is very important to reload, rebuff, and fully set back up between the transitions so we have everything we need. The elephant-looking genie has much more health than before. So after exhausting all of our pistols, we sit back and lob iron and blood bullets from safety. Another advantage of ranged combat. If the enemy isn't designed to combat you from far away, then you can avoid the difficult aspect of combat altogether. It's mainly with slow bosses. Anything that can't stay on top of you just doesn't stand a chance. Our new Djinn buddy moves the Emberheart out of respect, I like to think. And so begins a new adventure that I kinda did not prepare for. Our Enchanting guild is up and running, meaning we can finally enchant the best pistol in the game. The ornate pistol gets something unique that can't be applied to anything else. Well, the only way to get your hands on one is to purchase it from the engineer and Levant. Yep, that was one really long walk, costing over 1,500 silver in the process. This hunk of junk had better be worth it. Inserting flash moss into the pillar, we enchant the ornate pistol with trauma, reducing its physical damage while adding a fire AoE blast effect. Not only does this look really cool on shots, but it also saved the run. Most arena bosses would not have been possible without this. Next up, I have to thank someone in my live chat at the time for bringing up the Astral Astral Pistol. This item actually inflicts chill, so we can deal 25% more damage with cold shots. Okay, that somewhat gives us a knockoff Ornate Pistol and makes up for my huge blunder earlier. True, but the journey to getting this would not be easy. It requires a trinket handle, waning tentacle, and blunt prism. That last item there, blunt prism, is a really tough one to get. Best chance is to loot ornate chests in Caldera. There's a route you can take from town through Old Sirocco towards the tower and over to the Caligray Arena, granting 3 ornate chests without any fighting. Once at the arena, you can loot another 3 by winning each round of combat. I kid you not, this took me 3.5 hours to get. Partially my fault, as with the first blunt prism I found, I accidentally crafted an astral mace. Didn't get the recipe right. But yes, I repeated the process for nearly 4 hours in total, just looking for one item. Eventually, the RNG decided to grace me with a shred of mercy, and I could finally craft the Astral Pistol. It is really bad, because the shots don't do any impact at all. But after 2 shots, we deal more frost and fire damage, so kinda huge for the build. For another building, we want the general store upgraded to travel to any region if we spend the coin. Handy for arena bosses that'll soon be upon us. And because I can, we use a digested mana stone on an obsidian pistol, enchanting it with Levantine's Secret. Plus 5% ice damage and negative 5% mana cost. This was extremely underwhelming for a late game enchant, but it's something, and we're pretending it's gonna help out, so just roll with it please. At last, our city is fully up and running. Perfect time for the Crimson Avatar to swing by and tear it all down. We'll have to pay him a visit, and it just so happens I know exactly where he hangs out. The Scarlet Sanctuary was a walk in the park. All those fire enemies get eaten alive by frost bullets. With our final 2 pistols acquired for the build, they were only appetizers, blocking my way to the main meal. Buffing up accordingly, it's time we end the Scarlet Lady's influence in this land for good. Typically, this is one of the most difficult encounters in Outward, but that is only the case if you don't prepare for it. With 36 ice pots at the ready, we can infuse our pistols with frost all day long. Watching out for the laser is key, as it will get you when loading the pistols. More than ever, this was a battle of patience. As long as we can run around the fireballs, the Avatar does not interfere with our animations hardly at all. Once again, swapping pistols correctly is the difficult part, though the basic idea is there. Astral Pistol twice using Blood Bullet to reduce his defenses. Obsidian Pistol to apply burning for good damage over time. Meteoric Pistol twice if possible, as Holy Blaze is considerably stronger here. Then we have the Ornate Pistol to not only hit like a truck, but the added AoE effect on it staggers constantly. And if we can knock the boss all the way down, there's another chance to reload as he gets back up. Our saving grace is that with this avatar's immense weakness to ice, we deal chunks of his HP at a time. Pistols bring a lot of things to the table. Amazing range damage, a quick blast that can stun enemies off you in bad situations, and they inflict statuses faster than anything. But that's when you use them normally. Stack multiple pistols on top of each other and you get a walking tank, ready to mow down anything in its path. In the end, I believe this fight was easier than it ever has been with any melee build, because there was no risk of getting caught when up close. With one final frosty bullet, the Crimson Avatar falls before Ace 2.0. Proving once and for all that the Scarlet Lady will lose every time. But also that pistols are completely viable on their own. Scratch that. They aren't just viable, they are unstoppable. Returning to town, we speak with the courier and learn no other quest can be asked of us. This is it. Outward beaten using nothing but pistols. So, with the main game being completed, let's check out arena bosses. The extra end game content you can test your build on after beating the game. You get the general idea by now of how I attempt bosses, though there are a couple strategies we need to rely on for the more tricky ones. Immaculate's Bird takes almost no damage from us because he's close to immune to elements. We need to get that Astral Pistol debuff on him as soon as possible. Once that's applied, he dies after a measly 3 shots. I did make sure to have a pistol in my hand that wasn't hotbarred for that extra shot too. Ice is a tad inconvenient as we need to consume 2 separate things before we can fire again, but the damage we get with it is far too good to pass up. Wind Sigil is pretty much useless in arenas as there's no room to place down a sigil without taking damage. Even if we did get it down, we'd have to use regular bullets all loaded up, and that might be bad once the sigil runs out. There is a lot of waiting time due to this, but that does grant plenty of time for Blood Bullet to cool down. Elite Buzu posed no major threat as he tends to stand in place when creating ethereal blasts. Our stamina is also surprisingly high for how much we need to run. That's where Mercenary comes in, on top of the luxury tent that I can't seem to stop using. Elite Sublime Shell can be a lot of trouble, surprisingly. I never seemed to struggle against him, though here he would laser me every single time I'd go to shoot. This eventually left me doing absolutely nothing until after he would laser, just to be sure I was 100% safe. I believe there's a few second cooldown on his laser attack, so he can't just merely spam it 1,000 times. And even then, he got me at least 4 or 5 more times after that. 2 really good fights, but then this one went terribly. Might need to find a new plan for some of these bosses, because this one isn't even close to the strongest. Well, the good news is, I have a few ideas in mind. High Monk Giant leaves us with a problem and an advantage. These guys are extremely weak to frost, probably even more so than the Avatar was. However, they do have strong HP regen to heal all the way back up if you take too long. Applying our burn status should mitigate that regen, and then we have the Ornate Pistol, which does so much damage. Remember, the Astral Pistol applies Chill and Scorched. That means a frost shot from the Ornate gets buffed by both of those. We're not really using the Cannon Pistol much, aside from the very first shot. This gives us just enough stagger on shots with confusion, without resorting to using it more than once. Triple Frost Giants. Now this one is a doozy. Most of the frost bullets will connect on all 3 as long as we angle the shot correctly. Any overtime damage will do a number on them since each has low health. But when in the world would it be safe to reload after all that's said and done? The answer is not as complicated as it sounds, because it's never. You never have a chance to reload. We're forced to rely on Blood Bullet to gain HP back and whittle one down at a time. And after the smaller giant falls, there still isn't much leeway, although at least a shot here and there is safer. Best bet to playing it safe is to back up as much as we can before firing. Ornate Pistol carried really heavily on this one, so again, keep that in mind. It's a must-try option if you want to give pistols a real shot. Pun intended, of course. Elite Alpha Taunosaur had me taking somewhat of a risk. Getting very low on cool potions by this point, we need this to go well. And go well it did. This guy usually isn't an issue if you can stay away, as his fire blasts can be strafed. Everything else he has is melee. Unfortunately, both burn and poison do hardly anything, though we didn't really need to rely on it. Holy Blaze and that bonkers ice damage did the trick. Oh yeah, he's negative 40% weak to the stuff, meaning negative 65% with our setup. Dang, that's actually pretty impressive. Ice might be the strongest element, seeing as so many tough enemies don't like it. Now we come to the fight that almost ended this run. I cannot stress enough how impossible what happens here next is, but we should not have survived. Did you catch my mistake? I hope you did, because the thing that caused all of my problems happened as we let loose our very first shot. Queen Trog forces us to deal with an army of little Trogs before we can tackle her. Well, that looks easier done than said after watching a horde get blown to bits. With the Entomber armor set on, we can be immune to the decay damage for what should be an easy win. Just keep shooting and dodging decay blasts. What's the problem? The problem is Trog Queen has a unique little gimmick. She can heal half her HP in a single cast of magic. The idea is to stagger her out of this when she does it, or bait melees so she never can. But that's where my mistake came in. I shot the cannon pistol first on smaller Trogs. The queen never actually got confusion on her, so we can't stagger her quickly. This instantly started to spiral so quickly that I actually said there's no way we can do it. This is a lost cause. She's simply gonna heal every time I reload. Trying my absolute best with Iron Shot, we managed to get her one single shot away from death. But nope, she healed again. Soon enough, she had max HP again. I'm not even joking. From one hit away to full HP, I am now completely out of iron shots, close to out of cold shots, and entirely unbuffed. There is only one last chance at this, and I don't even know if it's gonna work. We need to load every single pistol in our inventory with ice while dodging the queen. Even the extra pistols in my backpack must be loaded, leaving us with a Hail Mary situation. This either succeeds or we are forced to die to get out. At the edge of my seat, we attempted the impossible, constantly shooting out our final ice shots while waiting for her to heal. Since we have confusion in play now, our shots will always stagger her out of the animation. Well, the problem is Blood Bullet doesn't deal any impact, except on the Ornate Pistol it does because we have the added AoE. I kept on being aggressive, baiting melee, firing shots when I had the chance, entering my inventory to swap pistols, so everything got used. In the end, it still wasn't quite enough. She was going in for yet another heal and I had nothing left to give. But that's when she simply fell over. The burn had taken her down at the very last second, saving the run and beating the Trog Queen. How freaking close can a fight get, man? That was ridiculous. From now on, we are playing no games. Several hours went by as I farmed out more ice pots and iron than any human could ever need. Never again will I be caught unprepared. Brand Squire was entirely uneventful. After a shot, we would take a cool potion while he gets back up. Then we shoot again so we can reload. This works on an infinite loop until eventually he dodges a bullet, leaving me with no extra time. Our defenses are quite high, so burn won't do much. Though if I had used the horror pistol, this probably would have been over already. Poison would really have done a number on him considering Blood Bullet already left him in shambles. A dangerous foe, but not when wielding pistols, it seems. Elite Mantis Shrimp is the last boss where I fight fairly. You see, you're assuming I'm limited to the 5 pistols I can carry, 1 to start out the fight and the 4 we have selected on our hotbar. This, however, would be incorrect. We have access to an unlimited amount of loaded guns. As long as they're in our backpack, which we can use the Brigands for to carry more of, we can simply open our inventory and swap pistols there. Now, this tactic is extremely cheesy. Clearly, you were not meant to fire 30 frost bullets at the enemy without blinking, but at the same time, it doesn't break any of our rules, those being deal damage with only pistols, and also stay alive. Sounds like it fits perfectly into the criteria, actually. This also means we won't need to reload as much in combat, reducing any downtime where enemies can catch us off guard. Inevitably, there were many lightning balls I had to get hit with in order to load up another shot. This is just how it is when the boss can get up quickly. Luckily, we always have Blood Bullet for the healing if we happen to get low at all. Healing while still in the middle of fighting is insanely strong. It's surprising how little I've talked about it, honestly. Double Liches end up being far more boring than I would like. Entomber armor makes me immune to their damage, so why would I wear anything but Entomber armor? Blasting down Lightmender first is preferable as he prevents gun reloads entirely. No lightning bullet for Lich this time around, which shows. This quickly turned into a slog as we need to run around for 10 seconds after every gun gets fired. Jade Lich, buddy, why do you have to be this way? We all know you can't do any damage to me anyway. Just lay down and give up already, will ya? For the Elite Burning Man, we wear Gold Lich mask and boots with arcane armor to negate fire damage. It was no trouble at all inflicting the boss with Chill and Scorched, though that did come as quite the surprise. I figured the horses would have gotten in the way. Then we need to clean up the minions one shot at a time, making sure we still hit the boss. The tricky aspect of this playstyle is we miss out on that Ice Boon. Extra damage from Cool Boon makes a huge difference, except we need to consume it in order to make ice bullets. Not super ideal in the min-max department, though as you can clearly see, we don't entirely need a damage boost after all is said and done. Dreamer Immaculate was an encounter I dreaded. With insanely high HP and only a weakness to ethereal that we don't have, this could end up becoming a problem. But as I said before, we're kinda done playing games with these guys. With 15 Sun Pistols locked and loaded with Ice Shot, his life force evaporated before my very eyes. Surprisingly, this still wasn't enough to take him down. Several statuses later added on to Blood Bullet were still required. Makes you kinda wish we had the Chimera pistol right now, doesn't it? Elite Beast Golem I put off for a long time because he's extremely aggressive. So aggressive that I don't think we'll ever get a chance to reload. Without a good plan, that is. For this one, we simply need to run through all of our pistols and make sure confusion gets applied. Then we do still have half a fight to go through, but check this out. Using Iron Shot, we get a stagger. Reload the Iron Shot while he's down. Another stagger. Doing this on the Ornate Pistol grants us amazing damage and creates an endless loop. Often it is best to dodge as he gets up to avoid his own pistol shots, but way easier than I could have dreamed. Also, it's extremely hilarious watching him fall over constantly. For Calixa, it's gun versus gun. Mine just so happens to be far more effective. She makes it much more difficult to pistol swap inside the backpack as her get up animation is way faster. It can be done though, and since we have so much iron, we can juggle between that and Blood Bullet as needed. Truly, the Ornate Pistol carried the arena bosses. Without its help, every single fight would have been 10 times harder. Crazy thing is, this pistol sucks normally. Just one small enchant can make a world's difference. Of course, I hear you all wondering, how did the crescent sharks go? The only way to accurately describe it would be to show you. Not perfect, as I fumbled the pistols there for a sec. Regardless, you couldn't ask for anything better, I don't think. That leaves just the Caldera Bosses. 4 more opponents ready to get shot up. Oh yeah, I forgot about the cracked gargoyle. I do need to stop off at his cage really quick and dispatch him. Just a couple elemental bullets decimating his health bar by chunks, and now we're back on track. Grandmother. The fight I wasn't looking forward to. The entire idea of this fight is to give you a boss that can't be dealt with quickly. You need to defeat 2 enemies, watch them revive, and then do them in again. Repeat that several times over, and I think you see the problem. Our statuses get reset each time one goes down, so we can't entirely rely on those. There's no time to reload when the mage is active because, wow, is her magic ridiculously fast. Our one advantage is that the frost shot can hit both targets at the same time. Once again, it seems as if we rely on Iron Shot and Blood Bullet through the final stretch. Scrap Shot's stagger greatly helps us out as per usual. Then it's a game of runaround that lasted quite a long time. I'll be honest, this is quickly becoming one of my least favorite arena bosses. The idea is awesome, but in hardcore runs, the optimal strategy is often pretty uninteresting and drawn out. Either way, we came through as the victor. Elite Tor Crab is a fun one since he's far weaker than most, at least in terms of how much HP he has. If we strictly refer to his damage, the guy can get overwhelming fast. Both Decay and Frost annihilate this poor fellow. I also had several pistols loaded up in the bag, leading to a decisive victory. Elite Gargoyles. Now, this one should be easier than usual. I mean, Gargs have gone down in seconds for us. No reason boss versions will be any different, right? Listen, I've been surprised by pistol power a whole lot during this run, but once again, these things are completely insane. 5 pistols can get a boss gargoyle down to a sliver of HP in mere moments. This has to be the easiest way to deal with him I've ever tried. After one goes down, we fully reload with ice and go again. Be sure not to defeat the first one near the second so he won't engage us. Then it's a pretty similar encounter, aside from the decay balls exploding all over the place. That was a tad more annoying to deal with. When in doubt, run away like a chicken with its head cut off. If the enemy can't catch you, the enemy can't defeat you. Wise words I once read out of a fortune cookie. Then of course we have the third gargoyle who stands less of a chance than his brothers did. Yes, this guy summons a shield to make himself invincible, but pretty sure this only works on physical damage, and we don't deal any of that here. Nope, that's just not our style. And if you're trying to guess how we finished him off, that would be with the glorious Ornate Pistol. Brother, please, this challenge run has hardly been a challenge at all. And people say this game is hard. I mean, come on. For our final battle, we have the Elite Crimson Avatar, and he's a complete pushover. Basically the exact same as his previous version, except with slightly enhanced attacks. Abuse the Astral Pistol debuff, spam Ice Shot, Blood Bullet, and the Ornate Pistol. I originally walked in with 23 scrap shots available. I left with only a single bullet. This dude is a tank, to say the least, and we ran around avoiding each other for some time. Yet, in the end, there was only room enough for one gunslinger in this town. And that gunslinger is me. Making our way back to Sirocco, where our adventure started, I think back on our humble beginnings. Unable to fire a single bullet, no pistols to be found, and scavenging together every piece of shiny silver that we could, to now have taken down monsters, liches, and even minor gods of a sort. No main hand weapon needed, just pistols blasting that good old ice. I'm not sure I ever brought this up, but the Jade Lich minions can drop a special mace that has -10 mana cost on it. Obviously, we never used used it for actual damage, but we did have it equipped for the mana reduction. So in the end, are pistols as OP as everyone says they are? Yes, I think confidently we can confirm that they are. While most of the challenge comes from swapping pistols correctly and not hitting reload at the wrong time, you deal more damage than I've ever seen. Oh, and remember this, we did that whole thing while missing our faction quest reward and without the Chimera pistol, which is arguably the strongest pistol. Yep, I don't think there's any denying it anymore. Pistols are Outward's greatest achievement, and I am absolutely here for it. If you did enjoy this video, please consider commenting, liking, subbing, anything to help me out and help you see more similar videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.